سے منیر تقدم کے ساتھ اکرام پیش کر ہم کی سیدہ نشان میں درود بھیجیے محمد والد محمد پر۔ نہ دین کچھ ہے نہ دنیا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، نہ دین کچھ ہے نہ دنیا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، نہ دین کچھ ہے نہ دنیا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، جہان کل میں اندھیرا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، جہان کل میں اندھیرا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، بتا رہا ہے زمانے کو سورہ کوثر، بتا رہا ہے زمانے کو سورہ کوثر، کلام پاک ادھورا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، کلام پاک ادھورا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، جو بیٹیوں کے مخالف ہیں ایسے لوگوں نے، جو بیٹیوں کے مخالف ہیں ایسے لوگوں نے، خدا کے دین کو سمجھا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، خدا کے دین کو سمجھا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، ہر ایک نماز میں تسبیح ہے فاطمہ پڑھیے، ہر ایک نماز میں تسبیح ہے فاطمہ پڑھیے، نماز ورنہ خسارہ ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، نماز ورنہ خسارہ ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر، قسم علی کی ہے معبود بند کر دے اسے، قسم علی کی ہے معبود بند کر دے اسے، اگر یہ قلب دھڑکتا ہے فاطمہ کے قسم علی کی ہے معبود سود بند کر دے سے اگر یہ قلب دھڑکتا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر چلو سوال کر چل کے حر کی خدمت میں چلو سوال کر چل کے حر کی خدمت میں قبول کیا کوئی توبہ ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر قبول کیا کوئی توبہ ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر فروع دین سے قربت اصول دین سے دور فروع دین سے قربت اصول دین سے دور کہ جیسے الفت فضا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر کہ جیسے الفت فضا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر آخری شیئر پیش کر لو ظہور ثانی زہرا کا ظہور ثانی زہرا کا یہ سبب تو نہیں ظہور ثانی زہرا کا یہ سبب تو نہیں حسین رہ نہیں سکتا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر حسین رہ نہیں سکتا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر نہ دین کچھ ہے نہ دنیا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر جہان کل میں اندھیرا ہے فاطمہ کے بغیر درود بھیجیے محمد علیہ محمد
If I can ask you all to please join me in reciting a Surah Fatiha for your marhameen, for my marhameen, for the shuhada, include the Bashir uncle, inshallah, and Sister Hina's beloved mother, and the rest of the Akbar family, inshallah. Fatiha. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المستحدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان خليفة الرحمن مع الإنس والجان ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا صدق الله العلي العظيم. First of all, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the continued tawfiq. In the month of Ramadan, I don't know why some people think that after the nights of Qadr, Ramadan is over. It's not. There's still a full week after, inshallah. In fact, ulama have said the last nights before the arrival of Eid are those nights where Allah now accepts the special servants of God. That's when even though they are tired, they still serve Him. So for Nayu and his family to hold a program like this in the last few nights of the month of Ramadan and put forth all this effort for us, we pray Allah accepts their efforts, inshallah. Blesses this home with barakat upon barakat, inshallah. It's not easy, nor is it an everyday occurrence nowadays where somebody opens their house like this and sets up their house like this. It takes days and days and many, many dollars to set up. So we do ask Allah to increase His risk and increase their himmat, inshallah. On a personal note, I myself am very honored that he had asked me to address this gathering. It's nice to know that sometimes iftari parties also have speeches attached to them as well. And on top of that, him and I go a long way back. He was one of the first to support my journey in Qom. He was very, very supportive to me in every way possible, and I will always be grateful to you for that, and you and your family. So for me to be here in your home addressing this beautiful gathering is an honor for me. Thank you, my brother. One love salawat to the family, please. The last weekend of the month of Ramadan is upon us. It's important for us to do a little bit of muhasabah, a little bit of accountability. Now, what is this month all about? And it's funny, in the first few years when I became baligh and fasting became wajib upon myself, I would fear the month of Ramadan. There was this pit in my stomach as it would arrive. And if I knew that if I had one more day before it started, that day before it even started was Eid for me. And then I would pray for, of course, 29 days of the month of Ramadan. And then something, we go through a journey. We go through a journey of ma'rifat. We go through a journey of understanding ourselves. We begin to recognize ourselves differently in the month of Ramadan. We begin to look at a little bit of our intentionality and our mindfulness and our niyat and our intentions and where we're spending our time. And then you begin to realize that it's not me, it's the power of this month. And you begin to actually grieve the ending of this month. And incredible how our fourth Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam, in his dua number 45, I believe, in bidding farewell to the month of Ramadan, he manifests this month of Ramadan as a close friend of his. It says, "It grieves me to see you leave," he says. "It's sad for me to watch you go. You came and with it you brought so much barakat and so much rahmat and so much maghfirat. Now that you're leaving now, I feel lonely, I feel alone, I feel like I have nobody." And so a month that someone like me would come tawfiq now with fear, here Imam Sajjad saying that my old friend is now leaving. And so we have to be a little bit conscious of what this month brought about. And I just want to give reminders tonight to all of you. MashaAllah, you guys are a very intelligent crowd. You know more than I do by far. But we want to make sure that one thing about the act of fasting that has been mentioned over and over again by the ulama is that it is a formless, shapeless, faceless worship. If I was to walk into this room and someone's praying salat, I would know they're praying salat. There's ruku, there's sujood, there's qiyam, there's qunut. You could tell the person's praying salat. If someone's doing hajj, I could tell they're doing tawaf and sa'i, they're shaving their head, they're cutting animals, they're throwing rocks. You could tell that the hajj is going on. Even khums is a transaction, right? You give the money, you get the receipt. But then ma'ruf is some expression to someone that, try this, try that. But fasting, there's nothing on the outside. There's nothing on the zahir. Nobody apparently knows that you're fasting. It's a very botany, esoteric, hidden act of worship. Literally between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe that's why, as I mentioned in the first night of my JCC lectures, and some of you were there, I know, that Allah first of all addresses the mu'mineen for the act of fasting. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Whereas in Hajj, the mukhatab of the audience is Ya ayyuhan nas. He tells Nabi Ibrahim, right? Izzan ala nasir bil hajj. Invite every member of mankind towards Hajj, towards my bayt. But fasting is prescribed for my khas service. Why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So you could be of those who are pious. Now, part of the fasting, which is very unique in itself, is that it's all about intentionality. And I want to speak a little bit about the idea of mindful acts of worship tonight. And I'm going to lean off of a very beautiful hadith by Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whereas, even in our Sharia, the things that break our fast, and this is a little bit ajib, it's uncharacteristic of God, if I can say this. Where it says, even if you intend to break your fast and you put forth all the efforts to break your fast in the middle of it for no apparent reason whatsoever, just a rough fast, you woke up thirsty, you woke up hungry, it just got worse as the day goes on. So you decide, I'm going to go ahead and break my fast. And you put all forth the efforts, you go downstairs, you open the fridge, and you couldn't find anything worthy of breaking your fast. Or the drive-thru was too long, for example. Or they ran out of your favorite donut, for example. Like, you know what, it's 3 hours, I'll just rough it out, I'll go home. Your fast is broken at that moment. Sharia says the fast is broken at that moment. Because you always have to be in the constant niyyah that I am fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The moment that niyyah is broken, your fast also is broken. Now, you might have 1,000 questions. I just broke all of my fast. No, you didn't. If you have a plan for iftar, that if I'm going to eat this and this and this, if someone's cooking, it smells good, like, I can't wait to have that for iftar, that's not breaking your fast. You have the intention and you put the step forward to actually fulfill that intention. But for whatever reason outside of you, that intention was not fulfilled. Which means that this is an act of worship that's not just for a moment, like for salat, in that 5 minutes of that salat, you have to try your best to be inside, in terms of your mindfulness, inside the actual salat. If you're not, your salat is not rejected. There's levels of salat. Right? Our sixth Imam says sometimes 10% of our salat is accepted. Which means that Allah will take anything from us, right? If that's Surah Al-Hamd, I was present in my mind, I was there, I knew every word I was saying. Then after my first ruku, my mind was gone towards the morning, towards weekend plans, and blah, blah, blah. God will still take 10%. If in Hajj, for example, you're thinking about everything, but the actual Kaaba and Tawaf, the clock tower is upsetting you, the guy who elbowed you in the back is upsetting you, it's hot, for example, the ihram is shifting, right? Meanwhile, you're doing Allahumma labbaik around the Kaaba. It doesn't mean your Tawaf is rejected. In other acts of worship, God will take anything you give Him, even if for that moment you are not in that mindset. But for fasting, it has to be all or nothing in terms of your intentionality, in terms of your mindfulness. You have to be present in that act of worship. And we are. A lot of times you end up telling yourself, if I wasn't fasting. The amount of shari questions I get, we all get in the month of Ramadan, I still get, about everything from brushing my teeth. The new one this year is chewing gum for some reason. Chewing gum, for example. right? Can I taste the food I'm cooking, for example? What if I have a lot of phlegm? Can I swallow that phlegm? Meaning there's this obsession that I don't want to do anything to break my fast. But I don't get that many questions about how can I focus on my salat. How could I make sure my sa'i is done properly? I don't have anybody calling me before Hajj saying, I want to make sure I'm doing tawaf properly. Maybe one or two, but daily, from young and from old. On top of that, there seems to be this motivation in fasting where young people are upset when they're not fasting. People who are not baligh say, Baba, I want to fast tomorrow. Well, you can't. You need to gain weight and eat and blah, blah, blah. Not right now. They're upset. But bring them to the musalla, not going to work, right? They're dragging them to the musalla. There's something special about this act of worship. And we have to figure out what it is. There are people who will fight. Just a few examples. Or elderly, that I beg not to fast in the month of Ramadan. Auntie, please, आप रोजा मत रखिए, आपके लिए वाजिब नहीं है, बल्कि नुकसान है आपके लिए. It's going to hurt you. At that moment, it's not wajib. In fact, it's haram to fast in the month of Ramadan. नहीं, मुझे रखना है. मैं रखूंगी. I said, go ahead, that's fine. Right? And arthritis patients and diabetics and this and that, and there's something about, but that same person will sit on a chair to person. So there's something about fasting. I want to expand a little bit on that tonight. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And it speaks to a larger reality that God wants us to come to our own discovery, and that's mindfulness. That's to be present in the worship. When you're mindful of God, you're unmindful of those that are away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let me say it better. When you're mindful of God, you're also mindful of the distractions of God as well. When you're unmindful of God, then those distractions will come and go. We have no idea that they're distractions. And right now we live in a world of distractions. We live in a world where they are numbing our kids literally to sleep every night, if not you and I as well. Okay. And in the process, we think that we're trying to fulfill something inside of us that's unlimited. So we are what? We are massively consuming things right now. There's a massive consumption, especially post-COVID, now that everything is open. It's just consumption after, and that could be everything from trips to vacations to homes to cars to things that we can eat to you name it, to gossip, to talking, to overexpression, right? All these things are massively consuming right now. And that's a severe problem that we have. And fasting does what? Fasting puts a halt to that. We watch our tongue, we watch our consumption, we watch everything. Right? It's a little bit of a glimpse of the fact that I desire, and sometimes literally 10 minutes into the iftar, I'm full. I have all these major plans at iftar. I'm going to start with this, I'm going to end with this, I'm going to have this, I can't wait for this. Right? The worst time to order food is at 7 p.m., right? An hour before iftar. When we're spending $100 on food, we consume maybe 50 of it. And the ulama say it's a glimpse of the dunya. It's a glimpse of the dunya. You desire, you don't realize a little bit is enough for you. Sometimes that water, that kajur, one samosa, I'm good for a couple hours. But we'll eat because, I fasted all day, I have to eat. You don't have to eat. You're full, you're good, move on. Right? But literally what happened, and we're upset. We're actually upset. I had all these plans, but I'm full. What do, Baba? That's the dunya. We think it's more than it is. We think it can fulfill more than it can. And the thing is, we're trying to fulfill something else with something else. And Ramadan turns that around and says, look, you're looking for God. In the month of Ramadan, you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same 24 hours, it's not like you have 30, if you're a person have 30 days off in the month of Ramadan, unless you're on like pat leave, that's different. But the same work, the same school, the same everyday routine, you're waking up, you're sleep deprived, right? You have to deal with annoying coworkers, right? Not even water. Not even water. Right? And then they try to compare, oh yeah, we also fast, we've stopped eating meat for the past 2 days. I said, I wish, that's, I can fast every day, no problem. Right? It's not like it's a different 24 hours. It's the same 24 hours. It's the same routine, same travel, same flight, same exam. Nothing stops. But you're different on those things. That's why the beauty of the nights of Qadr, we just passed a few days ago. And I say it every single year, the beauty of the nights of Qadr, and I'm sorry, don't upset me. Don't get upset when I say this. It's not a fehristi amal, I'm sorry. Ho gaya, wo ho gaya, Joshin ho gaya, ye ho gaya, that's great. Read all those things. It's a moment for us to stop and think, really, can one action of mine be 1,000 months in one night? Is it possible that my one night is equal to my lifetime of amal? And God's saying, well, this is not some magic wand. I'm sorry, we have to sort of break the fictitious Harry Potter world that we live in, that God sprinkles a little bit of dust and voila, now that means, oh, for 1,000 months, everything I do. Yes, that's His grace. But He's showing inside of you, you have that ability. The last Friday of the month of Sha'ban, the Holy Prophet, is a beautiful khutbah, welcoming the month of Ramadan. He says, in that month of yours, أنفاسكم فيه التصبيح ونومكم فيه عبادة. Your breathing is a tasbih of Allah. Am I breathing different? Am I? No, I'm not. وَنَوْمُكُمْ فِيهِ عِبَادَةٌ. Your sleep is different. Am I sleeping different? No, my mouth is still open every night. I'm still snoring every single night. So what is it? It's not the fact that you're snoring or you're breathing. It's you that's different. When you are constantly in the presence of Allah, in the mahzan of Allah, and we are while we're fasting, we have to be, otherwise the fast is broken. Everything about me, my entire wujud now, screams La ilaha illallah. When you do that after 1921 days, then you get to a point where, yes, one simple 2 rakat salat is 1,000 months. It's not a magic wand, it's the magic inside of you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So stop and think, am I trying to fulfill a need inside of me that maybe Allah will fulfill? Am I trying to take that over by overconsumption, overspending, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to be relevant online, for example? Right? Being a walking billboard from head to toe. What does that tell me about myself? Okay. And we have to sort of change the script. Now, let me come to the hadith. And it's not a long one, but it's a beautiful one line by line. I want to dissect that and then come to my actual content. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I never read from the member, but today I'm going to read if you don't mind. So this is what's known as the Hadith al-Qudsi. You know that Hadith al-Qudsi is all Allah. This is not the Prophet of Allah saying, it's not Imam Sadiq saying, it's not some Ayatollah, it's Allah Himself saying. Now, how He says it, in what way, that's a different discussion altogether. Enough to know. And the addressee of this is Yabna Adam, all of mankind. Okay, we know that sometimes God addresses mankind, sometimes God addresses the kuffar, sometimes the believers, sometimes a very specific group, sometimes the Bani Israel tribe, and every message is according to who He is addressing. This is all of mankind. So whenever He addresses all of mankind, it's a universal message afterwards that fits everybody, from the kuffar to the Wahhabi to the Shia to the Jew to you name it. He says this, very interesting. I didn't create you, He says, so you could give me more. Okay. The tone of God is incredible in this case. Nor did I create you so you can cure my loneliness. It's not like I was lonely and you just come and be my friend, so I created a human being. Nor did I create you so you can help me with things that maybe you think are hard for me. I need help, so I created a human being. That's not why I created you. Nor did I create you for a quick benefit of mine or to avoid a loss of mine. Bal, instead, He says, I created you لِتَعْبُدُونِ, so you can worship me. Tawila, over and over and over again. Take the month of Ramadan training ground. A lot of you here work in corporate. You own your own businesses here in this room. Okay, a new employee comes in, they go through training. When I was at IBM, the last year at IBM, I taught the new coming in class. I took them into IBM Academy and I got them ready for the floor. For about a month, I trained them, 30 of them. I said, look, you can make those mistakes now. When you're live, the training is over at that moment. Now you have that leeway. God says, look, month of Ramadan is a little bit of a preview of what life should be like in the other 11 months. Okay, the example I heard today from someone very wise. is that sometimes a comparison of the 12 months of the year are to the 12 brothers or the 12 sons of Nabi Yaqub. Oh, very interesting. One son is special like everybody else. 1 month is special like every other month, like no other month. That one brother was enough to get forgiveness for the other 11 brothers. That one brother was enough to feed the other 11 brothers. They literally came to him saying, we need some food. The month of Ramadan was always meant to what? Fulfill the other 11 months. That's what Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam says. That one verse of the Quran that is read, one verse, one ayah, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, in the month of Ramadan is equal to one entire Quran in every other month outside the month. 6,236 verses of the Quran. If you read one Quran in the month of Ramadan, that's 6,000 times read the Quran in Rajab, in Sha'ban, in Shawwal, in Muharram. It's a different month altogether. So I created you what? لِتَعْبُدُونِي طَوِيلًا. So you can constantly worship me, number one. وَتَشْكُرُونِي كَثِيرًا. You can keep on what? Thanking me over and over again. وَتُسَبِّحُوا بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. Glorify me in the night and all throughout the day. And then he says this, and this is God's boldness, his confidence. There's a hint of pride there, and that's okay. One of his names is Mutakabbir. If you go look at the Mihrab, one of the names is that if anyone has the right to have an ego and a pride, it's God, no one else. Then he says this. وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَوَّلَكُمْ وَآخِرَكُمْ. If the first of you and the last of you. وَحَيَّكُمْ وَمَيَّتَكُمْ. The living of you and the dead of you. وَصَغِيرَكُمْ وَكَبِيرَكُمْ. Your young ones and your old ones. وَحُرَّكُمْ وَعَبْدَكُمْ. The ones who are free of you and the ones who are enslaved of you. وَإِنسَكُمْ وَجِنَّكُمْ. From you, the humans or the jinn. If all of you, اجتمعتم على طاعتي, if all of you gather in one room and begin to worship me, all of you get your act together. From the young, from the old, from the free, from the captive, from everybody, all of us now, guys, let's get our act together. From tomorrow, we're all going to pray Fajr, we're all going to give our khums, we're all going to do Hajj. If you do all of that, he says, where am I here?
No.
Allahumma salli ala If all of you do that, لَمَا زَادَ ذَلِكَ فِي مُلْكٍ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ. مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ, an atom's weight. He says, you will not add to my kingdom an atom's weight. You will not add. Zada, Ziyad, we say in Urdu. Zada is actually Arabic. If everybody, listen, the first, the last of you, the old, the young of you, the free, all of you get together and do that, you won't add a single item to my mulk. And then he goes the other way as well. Goes the other way as well. وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَوَّلَكُمْ آخِرَكُمْ حَيَّكُمْ مَيَّتَكُمْ صَغِيرٌ كَبِيرٌ. Right? All those. If you decide عَلَى مَعَصِيَتِي, if you decide to now what? Go against me. For a moment, ما نقص ذلك من ملك المثقال ذرة. For an atom's weight, my kingdom won't be affected by your ma'asiyah. I decide to walk away tomorrow. You know what, God? I'm going to take a break from worshiping. You know what? I'm good. I've done enough. Goodbye. It's not doing anything for me. It doesn't affect a moment. Forget me. If all of us gather together, it doesn't affect the kingdom. And then he says, I'll read it in English. He says, if you desired me like you desired this world, and if you feared me like you fear poverty, I would have given you so much wealth that nobody would be able to count it. So reminding us that you were created to worship him. This month of Allah is a reminder that you're able to live your life and still somehow wake up half an hour before Fajr. Somehow still inject the Quran in there. Still somehow come every night to the masjid. Still somehow survive with a little bit of less food, a little bit of less sleep. It's not an ideal way to live in terms of every single year. But the idea is that don't underestimate your capacity to be an abd of Allah. Don't underestimate that capacity. Literally, God forces us to say, look, if I have to make it wajib on you, I'll make it wajib on you. If I want to hold my kid down and give her the shot to avoid malaria, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to worry about the fact it hurts, blah, blah, whatever happens afterwards, it's going to bruise. It's okay. If it saves you from malaria, I'm going to poke you in the arm. It's like the Prophet of Allah would tell the Bedouin Arabs, literally, if I have to drag you into the heavens, I'm going to drag you into the heavens, kicking and screaming. I'm not going to wait to see how you feel about things. Sometimes it's not about how you feel about things. God literally said, I'm going to make this a wajib on you to show you, again, not for me, so you could see yourself in this month of Allah. Okay, so first muhasabah, first moment of accountability is to understand this entire month had nothing to do with God. Yeah, he's our host, we are his guests, that's his beauty. It was all about us. Number two is the verse I read in the khutbah from Surah Al-Insan, the very first verse, very quickly. Allah says there was a time where this insan was ghayr madhkur, was nothing worth mentioning. Everything was there, you weren't there. The sun was there, the moon was there, the heavens were there, water was there, angels were there, animals were there. Everything was functioning, and you weren't there. You were nothing worth mentioning. Lam yakun shay'an madhkura. And then he says in the following verses, I made you out of a drop of water. I give you hearing, I give you sight. I showed you the path in Hadainahu Sabil. But in tafsir, it's incredible. He says, look at the sequence of events. Allah says, I made everything, then I made you. Understand the sequence. Tartib in the Quran is very, very important. Sequence is very important. It's not random words Allah's putting in there. He makes a point to mention that there were a lot of things and then you arrived. Okay, look, let's give this example, okay? Now you and his army, mashallah, got this house ready. I'm sure it's been 2-3 days, this whole week now, you've been preparing. Grocery shopping now, mashallah, white Chinese, there's tape on the carpet, the sofas are gone, somebody vacuumed, I'm sure, ordering the food, picking up the food. All that happens when? Before we arrive. Before we arrive. If I arrive here, let's say, for example, he says, also, can you just quickly kind of help me vacuum the carpets? Can you grab the toilets for me if you don't mind? I'm like, sure, I'll take off my abamos for the toilets. Would you do that? No, he wouldn't do that. Would you mind cooking the food for me quickly? No. Everything will be ready for us. Meaning what? Everything that he has is for us. We're not for it. There's a big difference. Understand the difference. Allah said, I made this entire dunya ready, and then I made you. Do you understand it? Now he's like, okay, you're my special Rahman, you're my Ashraf al-Makhluqat, you're my greatest creation. Come, all this is ready for you. Come in. You can't say, come downstairs. I said, the food is there, dessert is here, have a seat here, and get you chai. All of it is for you, for me, not the other way around. I'm not for it. We were not meant to chase the dunya. We were meant for the dunya to come and chase me. I was made for you, Asad. I was made for you, Farman. I was made for you, Sajjad. Come in. I want you to come and chase me. Our fifth Imam says that when you make Allah's desires over your desire, one of the things Allah does is places the dunya at your feet. The difference is, we don't want the dunya at that moment. We've tasted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what Ramadan is. Ramadan is dhawq, the taste of Allah. We've tasted what Allah is. Literally by what? By denying every other taste of ours, we end up tasting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when that taste happens, I don't want anything else. As hard as it is, don't tell me there isn't an accomplishment, there isn't a cleansing happening. When that kajur goes down your throat, you're like, I accomplished something. I feel amazing. And that's what Allah is trying to tell us, that look, everything was ready for you. Now for you to come and chase those things that are meant for tools for you is insane. You use a hammer to put a nail in the wall, right? To hang up that TV, you use a drill, a stud finder, whatever you use. Now they would know. Whatever you use. After you're done the tool, don't sit there and clutch on the tool and say, oh, Mr. Hammer, are you okay? Right? I wonder, or at night you're thinking, oh my God, he must be dark in the toolbox. I wonder if he's okay. You name him, Henry the Hammer? No, it's a hammer. I'm done. Toss it in, close it, khalafis. This dunya was meant for a tool for all of us. Let's use the tool, move on. clutch the tool under our pillow. It's everything. Sell out my soul, sell out my siblings, say goodbye to everything that's good. Why? The dunya, the hammer, the tool. No. It was made for you. It wasn't the other way around. That's why when you hear Imam Ali, you've heard this 1,000 times. Imam Ali statements that so long as the boat is on water, the boat sails. The water gets in the boat sinks. We're in the dunya, we survive. The dunya gets inside of us, we sink. We have that tardeed flipped, it becomes a problem. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And that's why when you read things like these irfanic statements by Imam Ali, you will never reach the level of sa'ada or sa'id in true happiness until you establish God's limits. We're not people who like limits. We don't like limits. We can't stand limits. Imagine a highway that has no speed limit, right? All you can eat buffet, unlimited data. We don't like limits. We accept the limits from the one who doesn't need limits. And that's logic. I don't take knowledge from the one who himself needs knowledge. I don't gain ilm from the jahil. I don't sit there and take advice on health from a man who's always sick. Why would you need that advice, not me? I won't take business advice from a guy whose 4 businesses have crumbled and suffered. You need that advice, not me. Right? I won't take limits from a system that itself needs limits. But I will take limits from a source that's unlimited. I will take knowledge from an alim. I will take advice from someone who's successful. He's free of that. He's gone through that. So while we don't like limits, for some reason, Ajib will take limits because it's from the unlimited. That's when Imam Ali says true happiness arrives. Not through consumption of things that we're trying to cover inside of us. The more we consume, the more depressed we are. You know, the difference between the sleep of a rich and the sleep of a poor is what? The difference is the poor man sleeps a lot better at night than the rich one does. The faqir sleeps like an amir at night, like a king at night, because he has hopes for a better tomorrow. The rich man wakes up, counts his cash, goes back to bed every hour. This fear of losing it. What they don't realize is sometimes that fear is something else. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And my last point, you've been very patient, I'm so sorry. My last point is this idea that we have this need to own and to consume. We do. We have that desire inside of us. I'm not oblivious to that. I'm not delusional to think, oh, we like nice homes and nice cars, and we like to be a billboard from top to bottom. We want to show that bling off to everybody. We have that desire. And Islam gives us that ijazah to do that up until a certain point. I've said it 1,000 times to my young guys right now who are in university, college, high school. Achieve. We need a lot of great professionals inside of our community. We really do. But don't attach. Instead, achieve. Right? When it's time to detach, you detach yourself. Right? Fighting over Baba's inheritance, fighting over Mama's inheritance. The 4 of us were tight siblings as long as Dad was alive. Dad was gone and we fell apart as enemies. Now we're going to court to fight for a couple of zeros. You haven't seen, I've seen it. So have you. That's attaching yourself. So while we have this desire inside of us that has to be pointed correctly. Imagine finding God in hunger and thirst. Imagine finding God in sleepless nights. Right? Imagine finding God in depriving yourself of this dunya. So we have this need, but when it's pointed directly, it feels good. Even though we might lose things on the outside, it feels great on the inside. And that's why that statement by the Prophet of Allah is so irfanic, and then I'm done. He says, what did I do? He said, I took shaitan, al-shaytanu amanu biyadi. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I took the shaitan inside of me and I converted him to faith in my hands. Meaning what? That this desire I have inside of me can easily become satanic. And you guys have seen it more than I have. I live in a bubble, alhamdulillah. Literally, I live in a bubble. I don't see what you guys see. You guys are out there in the corporate world. You guys are out there dealing with people. MashaAllah, I don't get invited to all these programs, alhamdulillah. No one invites me. If they do, they tell me, don't come, Malana. I'm giving wedding invitations. Lana, we want you to be the first one. Thank you very much. Looking better up now. It's better that you don't come. I said, why would I come to your son's wedding? Name, dancing, Lana. Too many times. Here, I want to invite you, but I know you don't come. It makes Lana, आजकल के बच्चे, we have no control. What do we do, Malana? Right? Okay. And so I live in a bubble. All of you don't. You're out there in the front, especially my youngest, out there in the front lines. The ability, the Prophet says, to take the shaitan inside of you and convert it to faith in your hands is inside of you. That's literally what Ramadan is. This desire we have for something greater and better and unlimited, we found that through deprivation of ourselves. Understand that? That desire, the shahwa we have that I think is with money and with greed and with possessions and with women and with food, it's not. Sometimes the more this West and this world owns, the more they fall into depression. Then there are those that find Allah in that unlimited nature and they have everything. On the outside, they're a faqir. They have a smaller home. There's not as much bling. Their car is a Corolla or an Accord. I'll use mine, a Sienna. Shaitan, I took shaitan inside of me and I converted him into faith in my hands. So I rerouted his path to the point where now that same satanic device inside of me became a path toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our month of Ramadan, inshallah, to accept every minute, every second. One act of worship accepted is our success. We ask you, Allah, forgive our sins, accept the amal of our parents, forgive our marhumin, inshallah. Everything we discuss is to better ourselves for the arrival of our Imam. I ask you, Allah, to bless this household and this home, inshallah. Bring it contentment, bring it security, bring it faith of Allah, inshallah. Let it be a wasila to have a bigger home in Jannah, inshallah. And finally, Allah, make us amongst those who are beside the Imam when he comes. Thank you very much for your patience. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا نبي الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين خصوصا سيدي ومولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء سلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى أيها الرضا كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان الأمان 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 من فتن الزمان عجل الله فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد. You'll be able to see it. Nice to see you. You're actually close. You're trying to my dish. Is that what you're close to the mosque. We don't see it because you won't see yeah, do what you have to do, man. Yeah, it's their time. It's their time to make it happen, right?
Is he actually living here or downtown?
No, so this downtown. We're talking about very close to the city. That was one of his conditions.
Too far.